What was the collaboration like?
Difficult to tell. It's such a long story and such a complicated, complex story. Bergman was an extraordinary movie maker, an extraordinary director, theater director, great theater director. And he was an extraordinary teacher and inspirer for his actors. And he created a relationship between all the people he worked with. Everybody went along and did whatever they could to present something valuable to the project, whatever it was. And the fact that he, for, well, as long as I knew him, he worked first in municipal theatres in Sweden, and then after that at the Royal Theatre in Stockholm. And all the time he made films. Let us say one a year. He had, I don't understand how he had the stamina and the strength to work the way he did, with writing a screenplay in the winter, in the spring, shooting the film in the summer, editing it in the autumn, and then at the same time maybe presenting 2 stage productions during the theatre season at the theatre, and using the actors from the theatre in his films. It was like a big family of
with
theatre,
intense personal relationships.
Sorry?
With intense personal relationships.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And it was a family situation. It was a very emotional relationship between all of us, I think. And I have so much to thank him for. I cannot tell. Years and years of work, and I would certainly not have been here today if I had not worked with him. But
how did you meet him?
How did I meet him? Well, I was at the time I had gone through the academy at the Royal Theatre in Stockholm, and worked for 4 years at 2 different municipal theatres in Sweden, and then I moved to the theatre where he was one of the directors, and that was it. He directed 1 production, I think, that season in which I had a part. Then he shot the film with the death and the night that summer, and that was the beginning of my. I had been in a couple of films before, but with other directors. But that was when it all began.
What made Bergman great?
His sensitivity, his probably very strict upbringing. He had a very traditional intellectual upbringing, with his father being a clergyman and a very strict Lutheran pastor. And of course Bergman was a very sensitive man and very intelligent, very intelligent.
Intelligence and sensitivity.
Yes, and very sensitive. And
sensitive to the world
with a
around
great
him.
Imagination also.
Yeah.
And was a great storyteller and knew a lot about human beings.
Take a look at this scene. This is from The Seventh Seal, in which your character is in a confessional with death, a famous scene. Here it is. It is, and
that's a great scene. Yes, it's a great scene. Yeah. It's a wonderful scene.
You like it because?
Well, it's very much Mr. Bergman, and I think it's very much an expression for his own search for a meaning, a search for the truth. A search for love, etc. It's funny, I think at the time I I was searching too. And I was a great doubter when I was young at that time. And I remember we discussed, of course, religious matters very much between takes. And I remember at one time I said, well, this eternal life, I don't believe in this. We die and that's it. So, and he said, no. I promise you, you're wrong there. I said, you're wrong. No, I don't believe in that. You mean you will live somewhere after? You will go somewhere? Yes, he said, well, I don't believe. Well, I'll show you. When I'm gone, I'll tell you. I'll show you. So he will come back.
Yeah. I have a friend who once said to me, I'm convinced there's no life after death. And I said, why are you convinced? And she said to me, because my mother was such a strong woman that after she died, she would have found a way to communicate to me. And I haven't heard from her. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I've heard from Bergman many times.
You have?
Well.
No, in spirit. You've heard from his spirit.
Yes, many times.
Tell me about it. I mean,
I can't.
Because it's personal? Because
well, it's yes.
Are you worried about how people perceive it, or because it's too personal?
No. It's very complex and very, yes, of course, very personal. But yeah. Well, we understood each other, I think.
And the more that you worked together, the more you understood each other.
I think so.
And you indicated that you had much doubt when you were young.
Yes, at that time, anyway.
And how did the doubt go away? Because you heard from Bergman, or because you...
Well, because of that and because of many other things, but
because of life and tragedy and happiness.
Yes. Life changes all the time, and you lose things and you get things, and you meet people, and you... And a meeting with somebody else can totally change your perspective, the angles of your perspective and your outlook. But I owe so much to Mr. Bergman.
Yeah. But I think you may have been referring to the fact that, as far as I have read, that love came to your life, and therefore you found companionship in things that, matter even more.
Yes, also, yes. Yes.